Hi, this is Sean Murphy of SK Murphy. I'm the MC for today's PACA webinar on seed funding without loans, an introduction to SBIR grants. You can learn more about PACA at patca.org. We are fortunate today to have Paul Scott, an experienced technical writer, share lessons learned writing successful SBIR grants. This presentation will cover three key aspects of the grant application process: the letter of intent, the concept paper, and the full proposal. Paul Scott has been a technical writer for over 20 years. He uses his training and experience as a scientist to help clients convey highly technical information to their customers and potential investors. He helps them with white papers, blog articles, and grant proposals for both academic research and the Small Business Innovation Research Program. He has helped customers get grant awards from DARPA, NSF, NIH, and the Department of Energy. He lives and works in San Francisco. Paul?
Thank you very much. So I'm going to just jump into this. All right. There we go. I am a scientist and an experienced technical writer. I started off as a chemist and worked there for 12 years before I went into tech writing. I have a broad technology background and a knack for advocacy writing. As Sean said, I also write other things. There is my email and my phone if you want to reach out. So what is SBIR? The Small Business Innovation Research Program is a highly competitive program that encourages domestic small businesses to engage in federal research and development with the potential for commercialization. So you can read all that when you want to, but basically, SBIR is a program that through which the federal government tries to encourage small businesses to engage in research to develop new commercial products. It is a funding program for small businesses as defined by the Small Business Administration. You have to have 500 or fewer people. It is about grants, not loans. They don't ask you to pay it back. The emphasis is on technological research and development. They want new ideas. It is aimed at commercialization. In later phases, they want you to show how you're going to bring this product to market. And it is focused on needs and priorities defined by the funding agencies. That's important to understand because a lot of people come to me for SBIR grants and they'll say, I have this great idea, which is fine, but you need to talk to a venture capitalist if you just have a great idea, because the SBIR program is based on specific needs that are defined by the federal government. You can't just pitch them your latest notion. There are three phases. These vary somewhat by agency and somewhat by the grant itself. Some don't have phase 3, for example. Phase 1 is up to $150,000 per award. The project must be completed within 6 months. The point of phase 1 is feasibility and development with the idea of completing a prototype or proof of concept. Phase 2 is up to $1 million per award. The project must be completed within 2 years, and it further develops the prototype and explores marketing and commercialization. Phase 3 doesn't offer federal funding. For this, once you've gone through phase 1 and phase 2, the government wants you to seek private funding. So pitching an SBIR grant is a lot like pitching to a VC. The government will want pretty much the same information that investors would. They want a profitable commercial product to come out at the end. The difference is that they're more likely to fund you because they don't expect to make a profit. They expect it to be profitable eventually, but they don't care so much about their own money. So they might be more willing to help. Also, they don't ask for equity. Any for-profit business, including sole proprietorships with fewer than 500 employees, may apply. some FOA. By the way, FOA is going to show up in here a lot. FOA is Funding Opportunity Announcement, and it's the solicitation that's put out by a funding agency saying, this is what we want to see. During phase one, a minimum of 2/3 of the work must be performed by the proposing business, and during phase two, it has to be at least half. So this limits the amount of subcontracting you can do. The designated project leader must be a full-time employee of the proposing business, and I think that's a little unclear. I should change that. They need to be a full-time employee of the business, and they need to spend at least half their time on the proposal. The work must be performed in the United States. The two most important considerations for a successful application are to demonstrate feasibility and compliance with the FOA. For feasibility, they want you to prove that you can do it. Your goal is a proof of concept. They want to see evidence in the application that you can get this done. That influences everything that you tell them, from the qualifications of the people that are involved in the project, to the resources that you say you have or can get, to the project plan that you're going to lay out in the final application. Everything needs to be focused on feasibility. That's what the reviewer wants to see. Compliance. This is where I run into problems with my clients the most, because people who haven't done this before tend to think that the requirements in the FOA are more guidelines than actual rules, as the pirate said. They aren't. You have to follow everything that they ask, and they lay out details. I mean, they stipulate the size of the font you're going to use and the number of pages, everything. A lot of people who do this regularly say that you should consider what they call a compliance czar. That means somebody on your team whose only job is to look at what you're doing and to make sure that it complies with every aspect of the FOA. They actually recommend that this person not have the qualifications to investigate or to advise on the technical aspects of the problem, because that tends to lead them down rabbit holes. They just want somebody who can tell you you're doing it right or not. This is a list of SBIR portals for various agencies. This will be in the presentation when you download it in PDF. I believe all of these links are still live, but they do change from time to time. So if you run into a dead link, just let me know. So, components of an SBIR grant. The funding opportunity announcement. This is the solicitation proposed by the funding agency. It has everything about the grant, including the amount of money available, how many awards will be given. Sometimes there are more than one. The need that the agency wants to meet, and they will often be very detailed about this. They might say, we want to see a project that will reduce the cost of energy on the national grid to 2 cents per kilowatt hour or less. What they want to see and don't want to see. There are guidelines in the FOA about the kind of proposals they don't want, as well as the ones they do, and exactly what you need to do to apply. Addresses for all the websites and the process and the deadlines and everything else. The most important thing to understand about an SBIR application, and I'm sorry you're probably going to get tired of me saying this, is compliance with the FOA. The single most preventable cause of rejection is compliance. So, the first thing you do with an SBIR application is you submit a letter of intent. The letter of intent is just a formality, really. It's only a page. It's a formal notice that you intend to apply. And despite the fact that it might be only 300 words, if you don't submit it, you can't apply. So the first thing you have to do is meet the deadline for the letter of intent. The concept paper comes somewhat later, and it's also pretty short. It's a high-level overview. This is where you actually start telling them what you're going to do and why you think you can do it. The proposed technology, including its basic operating principles, its uniqueness, its innovativeness, the target level of performance. This must meet or exceed the requirements in the FOA. And you also have to include some technical data to show how you're going to meet it. The current state of the art. What they want to see here is, number one, explaining why current technologies can't be met, can't meet the requirements. And they also want to see that you know your industry. This is it's an audition. It's a performance for the reviewers. The key technical risks and how you plan to overcome them, and why you need their help. The need for federal funding. This includes why you need it and how much you think you need. The full application is where we get busy. This is the project overview, the technical description, the summary of objectives, the team qualifications, and compliance. The project overview will include your background. It's what you've done in the past and how that qualifies you to feasibly fulfill the goals being addressed by the FOA. The project goal. This is going to be fleshing out what you said earlier in the concept paper. The DOE impact. The impact that funding would have on let me see. This is fleshing out the need for federal funding. This is also where you list any public or private funding that you've had in the past and why it's necessary to achieve your objectives. A technical description. Here is where you get really granular about your proposed technology. Scientific principles, relevance to the FOA. Why does this go back to their goals and their requirements? Feasibility, show that you can do what you propose, including previous work done and prior results. Describe the current state of the art, how the technology improves on existing solutions, and how your project will advance the state of the art. And again, if you've ever applied for VC funding, you probably recognize a lot of this. It's very similar. The summary of objectives and work plan is going to be a highly detailed project plan. This is the kind of thing that an engineering team would normally put together for any project. So it's all the stuff that you would normally list: milestones, SMART goals, go and no-go decision points, success criteria, challenges that you expect and how you plan to meet them, specific tasks and subtasks, and who is responsible for each. And this is going to go back to the background of your project team, because they want you to specify who's going to be doing each of these things, and then they're going to look at why you think that person can get it done, and also how you're going to measure and verify progress up to and including a prototype or proof of concept. Your team qualifications, including expertise, how much time they're going to contribute, and remember, the principal investigator has to contribute half of his time. The available facilities and proposed facilities, and any relevant previous work, patents, demonstrated innovations, anything that you can tell them about your team that makes it look more feasible. Above all, read the FOA and follow its requirements. Be thorough. You can't give them too many details in the full application. In the concept paper, it's very high level. but in the full application, you're not going to bore them, no matter how much you tell them. Know your market. This is again an audition. The reviewer is going to be looking at your competence, your knowledge of the state of the art and why you can do it better. Again, this is the kind of thing that a VC wants to see. Demonstrate your qualifications. Don't just tell them. Remember the senator from Missouri. This is something that I tell my clients, which sounds kind of weird, but it means when you are explaining the benefits of your project to them, remember how it's going to impact ordinary people. Think about talking to a senator from some Midwestern state, and the senator is going to want to know, how is this going to help my constituents? So, okay, you're in the Bay Area. How is this going to benefit Bay Area businesses, the Bay Area economy? How is it going to employ people in San Francisco or wherever your company is? Remember the senator from Missouri. Think locally. So, what's the downside? There are some regulations. You have to follow all the requirements that affect a federal contractor. Affirmative action, sexual harassment, anything that is included in federal requirements is going to be applied to you. Paperwork, there's a lot of it. Quarterly progress reports, financial statements, applications for payment, et cetera, et cetera. Audits. Over time, if you receive more than $500,000 in total awards from any federal source, you may be audited. So if you get too much money, they're going to want to look at how you're doing it. Cost sharing. This surprises people. They will tell you what cost sharing is expected, but the money that you're getting from them is only part of what they want to see. They want to see that you're managing to sell this to other investors. 20 to 50% of the total cost must come from non-federal sources. They don't care if you fund your own project. You can pay this yourself. They just want to see some matching money to go with theirs. So this is an FAQ, and I'm probably going to get some more questions here. And by the way, I'm sorry if I'm rushing through this too quickly. We'll have some time for questions. We're almost to the end. Do funding agencies have regional preferences? Not per se. However, if there are resources that you have locally, make it a selling point. If there's a hackerspace that has tools that you could get access to through your membership in that space, tell them about that, because that makes it more feasible. If there's a lot of technical expertise in the Bay Area, of course there is, point that out, because if you can hire those people as subcontractors or just employees, that makes it more feasible. How do I find funding opportunities? The links in the earlier slide to agency SBIR portals will link you up to FOAs for each agency. Also, if you think that you might want to work often with a particular agency, they usually have newsletters that you can sign up for, and that'll give you probably the earliest notice of new FOAs. Which agencies have the highest award rate, and what are my chances? People ask me this a lot, and it's impossible to say. They do publish lists of those who receive SBIR grants, but they don't publish everyone who applied. So we don't know for sure how likely success is. Institutional knowledge suggests a funding rate of about 1 in 10 to 1 in 20. It's very competitive. The grant applications that I have written have a success rate of about 1 in 6. And that goes back to feasibility and compliance. If 10 to 15% of your applicants are getting chopped out right off the bat just because they weren't compliant, then that hurts your success rate pretty badly. Do people repurpose their work to fit different agencies? Usually the government doesn't care. You can submit to different FOAs, but check, because some do have requirements that ban this. If by some fortunate chance you're chosen to receive an award from more than one agency, you may have to sit down and talk with them, because they have a limited pool of money, and they won't both want to give you full funding. So you might have to bring them all together and talk about how much each one is going to give you. But as long as you can show that your work meets the project goals for both FOAs, they don't care most of the time. All right. I'm going to open it to questions. I believe there's a link in the chat that will give you access to this presentation as a PDF, and you can send me questions, but you can always ask them right here if you have any.
If that's okay, then I think we'll break here. I apologize again for the initial confusion getting started. We will post this video and the deck and take it from here. Thanks everybody for coming.
Thanks,
Thank you very
guys.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Sorry.
guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye now.